Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to do something that we haven't done in a long time on this channel, and that's play Standard in Best of 3. Yes, I'm going to be forced to play Standard, so here we are. I'm going to be playing a deck that we have played a little bit before, but it has been tuned for the Best of 3 queues, and it's honestly quite a lot of fun to actually play this deck, so not too interested in being competitive. I don't believe that it has that much of a competitive edge on most of the Tier 1 matchups, but with the bans on November 18th, I'm not really bothered about being competitive, especially at this time, and especially since this is Oko Standard. You know, it's already degenerate and awful, so, you know, I don't know. I'm just tired of trying to beat that deck because it's just unbeatable and they need to ban Oko. But yes, today, enough ranting, we're going to be playing another run at Naya Giants. So this is a giant tribal list. Going to be ramping up into the big stuff essentially. So among our giants, we have Bone Crusher Giant in the early game, has a stomp ability to allow us to deal 2 damage to any target, so it is both removal and a creature that is very annoying to deal with, because whenever this creature, this 4/3 for 3, becomes the target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller, so we can push out a fair bit of damage with this wonderful little card here. It's pretty sweet. We also got Sunder Shamans as a 2-of for main deck enchantment and artifact hate. Can only be blocked by 1 creature, 4 mana, 5/5, so good stats. And if it deals combat damage to a player, we get to destroy an artifact or enchantment that player controls. So if the second half of this card is relevant, then we're likely to see our opponent chump blocking all the time. And there aren't that many cards in the format right now that can actually deal with a 5/5 and kill it in combat anyway. We then have Realm Cloak Giant. This is kind of the reason why this deck has its competitive edge. Whenever you think about playing tribal decks, you want to look at the competitive edge that it gives you. And in this particular case, the reason why you would want to run Giants is because it actually has access to a one-sided board wipe. So the cast-off side of the adventure destroys all non-giant creatures, which basically says it kills everything our opponent controls on the opposite side. Now, we do have 4 copies of the Paradise Druid, which just allows us to get into the turn 3 Fires of Invention, which is nice to have, but not a requirement. And that's going to be something that's quite important when we get to the sideboard discussion. But yes, this is basically a one-sided board wipe. If you've got enough to present lethal in terms of creature damage on board, then you can just go for a cast-off, wipe your opponent's side of the board, and then swing with your big boys. Everything is huge in this deck, so we got 7/7 Vigilances for 7, which is very easy to get to. Beanstalk Giant is one of our ramp sources. What I will say is that this deck actually can do very well on 24 lands, despite it being a ramp deck. We are running the 24. Mostly because Beanstalk Giant is very useful. Once Upon a Time is absurdly useful at making sure that you get your 3rd land drop. So if you don't have 3 lands or 2 and a Once Upon a Time, then you got a mull of a hand, essentially. We want to be able to get to like 3-4 mana. That's kind of the sweet spot with this deck, and from there it kind of snowballs into the final game plan. But yeah, the Fertile Footsteps for 3 mana on the Beanstalk Giant allows us to pull basic lands out of our deck. So we've got 2 plains, 3 mountains, and 4 forests. 2 plains to make sure that we've got that cast-off available to be cast. We need at least 2 reds for the Sunder Shamans, and obviously green's very useful. And then once we get to 7 mana, we actually get effectively a 7/7 at that point. However, its power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, so Beanstalk Giant gets progressively bigger and bigger, and, you know, we can potentially get our opponent with these huge creatures using Embercleave. So I believe in the original list, I only ran 1 copy of this. It's kind of like a little bit of a meme card, but it is really good. It is just pretty good, so I ended up adding another copy of it. I don't think 3 is justified, mostly because a lot of people tend to answer your creatures in games 2 and 3 reasonably well, so, you know, equipping the Embercleave is not going to happen too often, but making sure we got 2 copies means we see it quite a fair bit. So it is a flash 6 mana equipment that gives +1/+1 and double strike and trample. It has an equip of 3, however when it enters the battlefield you just attach it to a creature you control. So what we can basically do is do something like swing in with a Realm Cloak Giant as a 7/7. If our opponent doesn't block it, thinking that they can just take the 7, then we can flash in an Ember Cleave, and then suddenly that 7 becomes 16 damage, and we can finish off the game that way. So it's kind of a gotcha card in the game 1 at least. Potentially game 2 if they haven't seen the card up until that point as well. We've also got Escape to the Wilds, which counts as our card advantage, but also a little bit of a ramp source. So it's a 5-mana sorcery. We exile the top 5 cards of our library, and we get to play cards exiled this way until the end of our next turn. And then you get to play an additional land this turn as well, which is very important. We want to be ramping, you know, as we mentioned, the Fertile Footsteps is very important. The additional land drop is also very useful. But the reason why we want additional land drops, and less so mana dorks, is because of the Fire as an Invention. It's a 4-mana enchantment that says you can cast spells only during your turn, and cast no more than 2 spells each turn. However, what it does allow you to do is cast spells with converted mana cost equal to or less than the number of lands you control without paying that mana cost. So we can spend, you know, on turn 7, we can spend 14 mana's worth of cards. We can play down 2 Beanstalk Giants in the same turn. So in the late game, we're going to have lots of Adventure Giants just ready to go, and we won't really have the mana to cast more than 1 per turn. However, with the Fire's Invention, suddenly that becomes an option. So we could do like a turn 3 Fires into any of these plays right here, which is very useful. So Fires into a board wipe or Fires into removal for a Planeswalker. And then late game, when we play our Fires, we can do something like Beanstalk, or, you know, Realm Cloak Giant, wipe the board, and then play a 7/7. There's a lot of options you can do with the Fire's Invention, but the later the game goes, the less this becomes useful. It's very useful in the early game, essentially, which is kind of what we want it to be used for in the first place. Got the Once Upon a Time, as we mentioned. It's free if it's the first spell you've cast this turn, so you want to hold this card for as long as possible, up until the point where you plan on using any other spell, and then fire this one off. If you do need your land drops, then of course that's when you would fire off Once Upon a Time. But as I mentioned, you're going to use this as kind of a pseudo land drop, so while we do have 24 lands, you can count these Once Upon a Times as an extra 3. Similar kind of situation for the Paradise Druids, although you shouldn't rely on them a little less, because they do allow us to actually play like 4 mana spells with Fire's Invention if we do turn 3 Fires and don't get our 4th land, because you got to remember that Fire's Invention does allow you to actually still spend your mana. It just restricts you to only 2 spells per turn. But yeah, that's effectively the deck. The mana base is pretty simple. Lots of basics, because we have Fabled Passages and Beanstalk Giants to fetch them, and then we're running all the Shocklands, Stomping Grounds, Sacred Foundry, and Temple Garden, just to make sure we got all of our colours, because it is a bit of a greedy mana base, you know. Sunder Shamans are kind of hard to cast. We've got a basic requirement for all 3 colours by turn 3 as well, so we want all of our fetches and all of our shocks as well. Onto the sideboard. So I've actually been messing around with the sideboard, and I'm not really sure where I want to go on it at the moment. And the reason why that's the case is because Fire's Invention actually stops you from playing instant spells, or spells that would be useful on your opponent's turn, i.e. Veil of Summer, which is really important in this format right now. It's 1 green for an instant spell. You draw a card if your opponent's cast a blue or a black spell, and spells you control can't be countered. You and permanents you control have hexproof from blue and black. So, it gets you around counter spells and black-based removal. Also, stops you from being targeted with discard, allowing you to 2-4 your opponent effectively. So it's really, really useful. The problem is that you can't use it when Fire's Invention is in play. So what's likely going to be happening in the games 2 and 3 is we're going to take out Fires to put in Veil of Summer. I did try Rhythm of the Wild initially, but it just wasn't really helping as much as Veil of Summer was. I did want that uncounterability so that we could push through our Beanstalk Giants and things like that without our opponent being able to do anything about it. But ultimately, I think Veil of Summer is just a little bit of a better card for this deck, despite the fact that it requires us to take Fires out. But that's what I mentioned about Fires not being a requirement of this deck. It's just major upside. This is a huge value card, but it is not needed for the deck to function. We don't have a greedy colour base, you know, we're not running like triple blue, triple red, triple green, all in the same deck or anything like that. So the mana itself is not a problem, it's just the ability to play for free, which is nice. We got 1 copy of Fry to deal 5 damage to a Planeswalker. That is white or blue, just really nice to catch a lot of the cards these days. Also can't be countered. Most of our sideboard is uncounterable, which is quite fun. I like that side of things. We have 3 Sorcerer's Spyglass for you-know-who. It's also useful at stopping your opponent from 3 Fairying you as well, I suppose. You just basically get to knock out the activated abilities of Planeswalkers, lands, things like that, whatever you need to do. 2 copies of Gideon Blackblade, just to give some indestructibility if we really want to. We can just... It's nice, a non-creature threat, essentially, because most of our creatures, or most of our threats, are actually creature-based, so we need something occasionally to push it through. It's nice and aggressive as well, so if we want, if we're taking out too many pieces, then Gideon's nice to put in. Another copy of Prism Realm to deal with Planeswalkers, yet again. Also, creature removal. It's pretty nice. Whatever doesn't get killed by Deafening Clarion's Realm Cloak Giants, Prism Realm's therefore. Deafening Clarion for aggro decks. Knight of Autumn for artifact and enchantment removal. Sunder Shaman's not always going to be the best option if they've got enough to keep blocking it until the end of time. Then we're going to have a little bit of trouble there. Unless we can get an Embercleave on it, and then, you know, it has no troubles at all. It's actually Embercleave on Sunder Shaman, since it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, is really nice, because this is going to hit for 12, and it can only be blocked by 1 creature, so your opponent's less inclined to block with 1/1s, because they're just going to take 15 damage. Things like that. Oh, sorry, no, 11 damage. Don't know why. I'm terrible at math. But yeah, Knight of Autumn can also count as a bit of aggro defense, gaining the 4 life, or a bit of aggressiveness for us if we want to put the counters on it as well, and really push the threats through. And then finally, Chandra, Awakened Inferno, another uncounterable spell. Essentially, if we're taking out Fires of Invention, we also want to take out Embercleave, because your opponent's probably going to bring in Artifact and Enchantment removal, so we might as well just bring out the Embercleave and swap a 6-mana card for another 6-mana card. This one a little bit more likely to be useful. It's an extra board wipe in creature matchups as well, and it puts a clock on your opponent if they're not interested in winning anytime soon. So, pretty sweet card. Without further ado, though, we're going to get into the gameplay. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and if you do, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel a great deal. But, yeah, let's get into the games. Hope you enjoy, and I'll see you at the end. Alrighty then, we're in. We've got a 4-lander with a Fires. Doesn't really have the ramp that I'm looking for, but the mana's fine, so I'm going to keep it. Hopefully we're playing against something amusing. This deck, so far, I'm gonna call my opponent's deck amusing for now. Because it ain't green. And it ain't Oko. And it ain't Simic Tempo. So, as long as it's none of those, I'm fine. Alright. Gutter Bones, land. Please do not play another Gutter Bones. Drill Bit. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Takes Fires of Invention. Draw Fire of Invention. I like that. Okay, so are we going to see land pump Knight? I might have to shock myself to Prism Realm. We're not, but maybe we get Drill Bitted again. Witch's Cottage? Sure. Okay, that's a priest. So we can't really resolve creatures until that's dealt with. Not really, anyway. I could play Paradise Druid to block Knight. It's fine, right? And then I've got turn 4 Fabled Passage into Fires into Prism Realm. Something like that. It just seems perfectly fine to me. So far I think we're on the verge of stabilizing. We do need 1 more land for Escape to the Wilds. Lazotep Reaver. Alright, well. You don't know how much I want to block that Knight. You will never know. I really want to block it, is the answer. Go away. Yeah, so we'll Fires and get rid of the Priest, because that's the one thing that stops all of our big boys from sticking around. Considered going for the Priest there. Fair. Decided against it. Alright, so, Fabled Passage. Getting that Sacred Foundry is really good for us, actually. Let's get ourselves a mountain. Doesn't really matter. We can do Fire's Invention now, and then we'll get rid of Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Can't sack to itself, so... Let's get that out of the way, and now we can do Sacred Foundry into Escape, and then hopefully get something good like a board wipe. That's what I'm really hoping for. So if they want to use Priest, they're going to lose 2 creatures here, which is really good for us, honestly. You can sack Gutter Bones, I suppose, but this can only... Oh, this is different to the one I'm thinking of. Fate this only if your opponent lost life this turn, so... Yeah, they can play the black there and put it back in their hand. So, what are we scrying? We're looking for, like, Clarions and things like that. I don't know if Beanstalk Giant's really what I'm looking for when I've got 2 Escape to the Wild, so I'm going to put that on the trash pile. They'll bring Gutter Bones back. No? Only during your turn. It is what I thought it was. I half read it. I like to do that sometimes. Half reading things is fun. Alright, so we take 1. Shot. So I guess they're mono black aggro. Is that what we're calling our opponent's deck? I think it is what we are calling our opponent's deck. So, tap land. We've got 5 mana, so that means we can Escape to the Wilds. Beautiful. I like those options. So let's just wipe the board, I guess. I want to get rid of the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. There's no real point trying to resolve anything until that thing is gone. It is a very big annoyance to our deck, for sure. And then we can play Sunder Shaman, Realmcloak Giant, land drop for the turn. And then we've got a 5-5 and a 7-7 ready for our opponent. Bone Crusher Giant, very good. Alright, so Sunder Shaman coming down. And Realmcloak Giant coming down. What's the best draw for us now? It's probably like Embercleave, maybe. Or even just another Realmcloak Giant. Wipe the board and run right through our opponent. Prankle? That's annoying. Alright. Well, we'll get rid of Sunder Shaman. And discard a card as well. Beanstalk Giant. We've got enough mana right now. So get rid of Beanstalk. They get rid of Spawn of Mayhem. And then they lose a token. We lose a Sunder Shaman. Definitely. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Yeah, we definitely weren't benefiting from that situation. But we do get lifelink, which is pretty sweet. So let's 3 damage to each creature and lifelink on our Realmcloak Giant. That's why I love Clarion. Shut up, Alexa. Alexa, please stop. Don't be the way that you are. Alright. I'm just going to stomp our opponent in the face. I don't think I really need to escape. And I'd like to, you know, maybe just play a 4-3 next turn. I'd be happy with that. Gives me that Priest of the Forgotten Gods buffer. Another Prankle. Alright, well, at least sacking a creature loses Prankle here as well if they want to do that. But we are most likely going to lose Escape to the Wilds at the same time, unless that card is very important to them, which I doubt it. Oh, they just want to discard? Alright, well, I'll just Prism Realm you. Goodbye, Prankle. Definitely do not want a land drop, I can tell you that much. Play Bone Crusher, and then get in for 7. Looking like we're threatening lethal next turn. Really going to need a good top deck here, and I just don't know what they could possibly draw. Lazotep Reaver, I mean, it's 2 blockers. We draw a land anyway. Okay. No, swing. Got a single block each one. Or die. So this is kind of the end game scenario that we set up for ourselves. I'm going to leave Temple Garden in hand as potential future discard fodder. Yeah, we got him. Alright, so it's like a mono black aggro deck. So we want to bring in Clarions because they seem quite effective, not going to lie. Maybe a Prism Realm for more Prankles. Fry is obviously very useless. They did have Drill Bits. But I wonder if that means that it's worth using on Veil of Summer. I mean, we could use Most of their removal seems to be not targetable either, so like Veil of Summer's not very useful. They had Prankle to make a sacrifice, Priest to make a sacrifice. They can bring in Noxious Grasps, which are targeted removal. Very annoying targeted removal at that. But I'm not sure. Let's go down the Sunder Shamans. They don't seem particularly good. They've got some 1/1 fodder to throw down. I like most of what we've got here, especially like the Embercleave plan. I could bring in maybe like 1 Veil of Summer as just an option. I mean, it draws a card every time I use it, so I could use it like proactively just to cycle through my deck as like a bad opt. It's definitely an option, I suppose. But I also like maybe just throwing in a Prison Realm or even a Chandra as a board wipe. Could even see myself bringing in Night of Autumn as well. That's a toughie. I'm going to bring in Veil of Summer, just as a one-of. It's fine. I think our deck is fine overall as well. I do expect maybe a little bit of discard though, so maybe I should bring in more Veil of Summers. But if I'm bringing in Veils, I'm taking out cards that I don't want them to discard anyway, so it's kind of like I've helped them discard it myself. So I would keep this hand if it had Once Upon a Time in it, but it doesn't. So it's a little bit dubious. I think I'm probably just going to muller this one. It needs a land. And we are on the draw. It's just too risky. This one's fine though. We can just dump a land. We've got Beanstalk Giant to ramp, and then Embercleave is what it is. Yeah, let's go with the Stomping Ground. And see what our opponent's doing. Ooh, did get Once Upon a Time. Very good. So, land go. More Once Upon a Times. You don't like to see that. Well, it's not too bad for us, but, you know. Kind of expected to have... Wow, they've got no 2-drops. They've got something that they can play. We know that much. Alright, well, I'm going to go for a Beanstalk Giant here, so let's do Once Upon a Time, look for... Yeah... I like all 3 of our creature options here. I'm definitely not pulling a land for obvious reasons. I guess because I've got so many lands and already have a Beanstalk Giant, that one's ruled out. Our opponent has no creatures, but I should be at Realmcloak Giant in no time at all here. So let's just go with Plains, Fertile Footsteps, and grab... Doesn't really matter. Just grab some more red. Already got the double white. Got plenty of green, so just grab the red. Knight of the Ebon Legion, alright. I wonder if that was their top deck or if they've just got a really bad hand. It's an easy game anyway, if it is just a bad hand. Let's keep thinning the deck, I think. I'm really not afraid of what my opponent's doing here. Let's grab some forests. Play Temple Garden tapped. And we'll end step Once Upon a Time. Pretending we've got Bone Crusher Giant Stomp here. Yeah, they took a really bad hand. I could have probably taken my first bad hand, actually, if this is what they were going to be keeping. Witch's Cottage. So bad. Yeah, let's just take some more board wipes. Board wipe city, please. Play Mountain, and let's just start throwing our Beanstalk Giants. Imagine this is where Noxious Grass comes in. Yep. I'm fine with that. I mean, I've got another 7/7. I've got a 7/7 attached to 2 board wipes as well. And if any one of them survives, we just slap Embercleave on it and we're in Giggle Town. Beanstalk. Okay. Would love one of those Veil of Summers. Never mind, don't need it. Yeah, I think this is about time to wipe the board a little bit. Do I have many... I don't even know if I have many basics left. I can check. Yes, I do. Alright. Fabled Passage. Got 2 left in there, so let's just go grab one. I've got 4 left in there? Oh, I definitely did not read what I was looking at. Yeah, just wipe the board. They get to draw 2, so they're not really losing anything, but the game goes on longer. I needed a creature, and obviously I'm not really going to play this one without just using the cast-off first. There's Prankle. Alright. Make us discard, I guess. Got this land to fob it off. Yeah, that's fine. Land go. And, yep, just wipe the board again. I'm going to keep the Fabled Passage for future Prankles, because we know they're running a lot of them. So, yep. Pass the turn. Future Prankles are going to be very annoying, though. Spawn of Mayhem, you say. Alright, well. Let's just go Realm Cloak Giant. And pass the turn. I like the Deafening Clarion here. It is tasty. Means I can give a bit of lifelink. Also put damage on their creatures. Is Noxious Grass green and white? It is, right? Yeah, it's perfectly set up to beat my deck. Orzhov Enforcer. Yeah, don't care about that. Please play more. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Alright, I believe that's us winning the game. So, 3 damage, lifelink. And let's slap Embercleave into play. Attach it to a creature, not an attacking creature, just had to check. Reading cards is something I occasionally do. And yeah, we block. They're going to lose a lot of life, and we're just going to gain an absurd amount as well. You're at 1, and your spawn kills you. Easy. Alright. I got out of bronze. Woo. Woo. I haven't touched standard at all, so if you're wondering why I'm at bronze, it's because I don't care. It's pretty much the gist of that. I don't need the packs. And yeah, just whatever about standard right now. Hopefully the 18th comes around and it's dramatic enough that it changes it, but until then I'm just going to play this fun deck that wins and loses about as much as it does. So, you know, it is what it is. Alrighty then, let's be on the play, shall we? We've got a 3-lander, which actually doesn't look too bad. It's got removal, it's got ramp, it's got more removal. Why not? This should get us into the late game quite easily. So let's go Temple Garden and Tat. See what our opponent's playing. It's a blue deck. Alright, well that can be good and bad. I suppose I should have played a mountain there. Don't think it really matters, to be honest. Looks like Spectral Sailor or Opt here, since our opponent is hanging on our turn. Interesting. Simic Flash. I see. So the plan is to do Brineborn Cutthroat against me, I guess? If we could dodge a Quench or a Negate, then Fires of Invention's pretty good here. I could also just go for the End-Step Bone Crusher Giant on their Brineborn Cutthroat, but then that lets them start using, like, 3 mana counters next turn. I might try for the Fires of Invention. If they've got the Quench, then, you know what, we get it out of their hand. And if they do have Quenches from the following turn after Fires resolves, then we've got all the mana in the world to pay for their Quenches, which is pretty good. Alright, that is a Brazen Borrower. It's very annoying, not gonna lie. And they have the Ether Gust as well. Do I want to put this on top? Kind of and kind of not, honestly. Not sure where I stand on that one. I might as well, right? Might make them take the entire turn just to redo that again. But we do essentially guarantee that we've missed a land drop there. Alright, so they've got Brazen Borrower mana. We're just going to straight up throw Fires of Invention out and get a counter from them, no doubt. Yeah, Mystical Dispute in the main deck. Oh, standard. Oh boy. I feel so bad for you right now. You're so broken and boring. Okay. So this is where our opponent just wins by having 9 million different things that they can do on their turn. It's not fun, but we can bring in some equally broken cards from Game 2, like Veil of Summer, guaranteeing that we actually resolve something. Let's go for a Stomp on the Cutthroat. Wow, that resolved. Okay, we know they have no 2 mana spells unless they've just drawn it. So that's useful to know. Let's go for a Fertile Footsteps. I'm not too fussed if this doesn't resolve. Got Frilled Mystic. Alright. Cool. Alright, pass the turn. So, where do we go from here? Opponent getting in. Do I care? I guess I kinda care. I've got 5 mana next turn. It's just not really gonna let me do much, but I am a big mana deck and I'm not really ramping too well right now. There's a land at least, so let's just go Bone Crush Giant. Really hope that we don't get quenched for me not shocking in my Temple Garden here. But I'd rather not shock anyway. As soon as Sabotage. Alright. Works for me. Keeps them off of Night Pack ambushes and whatnot. And then we can go tap land, see if they've got a 1 mana Spectral Sailor perhaps. Yep. So this Clarion or the Realmcloak Giant's looking reasonable. This time I'll block, since I got the Clarion, Prism Realm. I don't want to take any more damage, really. And we got some more lands. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna... I kind of feel like I have to Prison Realm the Spectral Sailor, but it's just gonna get bounced by the Petty Theft. But I've got nothing better to do, so let's just do it. At least I get to scry when it gets bounced. And it's just to generally annoy our opponent, to be honest. So they might draw in response, or they might just go for a bounce on the Prison Realm. I get my scry if they do. More lands. Probably not. I think I don't quite have enough to where I'm comfortable, but I don't really want to spend my next turn playing lands and doing nothing anyway. I'd rather just Realmcloak Giant and wipe the board essentially here, or go for the Deafening Clarion to play around Quench. We're at 12. Oh, we've got another Realmcloak Giant. I think I'll go for the Clarion to play around Quench, but also Night Pack Ambusher doesn't die to Clarion, so this is probably better. See what they got. Could draw on Spectral Sailor for a 2 mana play, but they've got the Sabotage. Alright. Fun, fun, fun. Swing for 4. We're down to 8. Fabled Passage. I have put a land to the bottom, so I'm just shuffling a land in. So this isn't going to increase my odds of drawing anything in particular, but I might as well play it, right? Let's just go for Destroy All Non-Giants. More Sabotages. Cute. Alright. Still get the sound for it, and we've stopped them from drawing a land for the turn. That's disgusting. Alright, really doesn't matter what land we take here. Let's go with the Plains, I guess. We've got something playable in their hand that's not a counter spell, so I imagine this Realmcloak Giant is going to resolve this time around. If it doesn't, we just lose anyway. Ember Cleave, okay. We might already just lose if they've got Night Pack Ambusher in response to... Alright. So we resolved absolutely nothing that entire game, so it is what it is. Now we can bring in Veil of Summers, and the game gets interesting. Veil of Summers, Clarions, we can bring in... Could bring in a Fry. Can't be countered. Kills most of their good creatures. From there, we're just going to bring out Embercleave. We bring out Fires of Invention. Since we got the Veil of Summer, we can't really use Veil and Fires at the same time, so we might as well not try to do that. We could ramp into Big Chandra instead and just go for that kind of uncounterability. Sunder Shaman doesn't seem too great. So we've got lots of board wipes here. Lots of uncounterable cards and ways to make every other card uncounterable. Prism Realm doesn't look that great. Could see myself going down a Prism Realm for a Night of Autumn just for the life gain or the big creature. Maybe we just try it like that. Yeah, that looks fine. Don't think Sorcerer's Spyglass has got anything to name. Uncounterable Tribal. I kind of like our odds in games 2 and 3 as long as we have good draws. You know, Veil of Summer in a hand is obviously going to be very good if we can resolve a game-winning threat. If we can't draw more than one land, though, we are going to lose. And there's 3 lands and some Beanstalk Giants, so I'm going to put one of these Escape to the Wilds to the bottom, and we'll just shove Sacred Foundry into the tapped land zone. Opponent with Once Upon a Time incorrectly played in their hand. There is literally no reason to do that on my end step, because it is free up until the point where you spend your first spell. So up until the point you plan to spend your first spell, there is no reason to use Once Upon a Time. I don't know why people keep doing it. Like, they'll Once Upon a Time with multiple lands in hand, just so they can grab a land and then not play it. Just weird stuff. Alright, we're just going to go for Fertile Footsteps here. It's not a big deal if it does get countered, because it's just putting a land into play, but I would prefer it got played. Aether Gust. I might decline, since I have a shuffle to put it back, and then if I draw Veil of Summer, then I can do some good stuff. Yeah, I'm going to decline. So it goes on the bottom instead of on top. It's going to get shuffled in with this Fabled Passage. I would have probably kept it on top if I didn't have a guaranteed land drop for the turn here. So, yeah, let's just shuffle it up, get a Plains, and then Beanstalk Giant again, I guess. We've got the double red for the Chandra, we've got double green, and the double white is for our board wipes, essentially, so let's just go Beanstalk Giant. If this resolves, we have a Bone Crusher Giant open. If it doesn't, then we're in an interesting spot. They're going to let it go. Okay. Let's go with... I don't think it really matters. I'm going to go with the green, I guess. And, yeah, let's just pass with Bone Crusher Giant open for an end step Brineborn Cutthroat. There you go. And no answer to that is very good. If we draw a land, we're in Chandra territory, and I don't think our opponent can win. Alright, well, I mean, this is where Frilled Mystics are hanging around, so, you know, it's just a thing. I guess I'll play Bone Crusher Giant to play around Quench. I think Mystical Dispute's open as well, so, I mean, it's a counter unless you pay 3. It's still pretty bad for us. I don't know if our opponent would have kept a Mystical Dispute in hand, but, yeah, this looks like Frilled Mystic to me. Can't really dodge them. It is what it is. Oh wow, that actually resolved? Huh. Night Pack Ambusher. Alright. So, they will do literally nothing here. That's the idea. Do nothing, make a 3/3. I draw my land, so that does give me my Chandra, so I could actually use that to minus on the Ambusher, or I could just start ticking up with it. I like the idea of just ticking up with uncounterable damage. See if the game goes long enough. See if our opponent tries to counter this. Happens from time to time. It's always funny when it does. Bit guilty of doing it myself sometimes too. Yeah, I'm just gonna tick up.
Is it just me, or is it getting a little warm in here?
And we'll say no attacks, so that they have to push through the Bone Crusher Giant To a certain extent. Alright, well. Take one. It's not a good state to be in, this board state. Yup. That was a good draw, opponent. Lucky you. Lucky you. I need a Veil of Summer. That's what I need. Veil of Summer into Realm Cloak Giant's cast off. It doesn't feel good to block the token here, but I guess I kind of should. They're just going to make 2 4/4s next turn anyway, so it's just a matter of this Realm Cloak Giant resolving, otherwise I'm boned. So one of my 4 Veil of Summers, please.
I kind of crashed and burned here.
My opponent can draw what they want. I should be able to do the same. Nope. Alright. Let's go Escape to the Wilds and watch nothing happen. Oh wow, it did. We got Board Wipe City. Wow. Okay, so where do we go from here? I mean, we're pretty on the verge of death right now. So we'd need like 10 mana to work with. We got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 next turn. It's not enough. But, you know, we gotta do it. Crack Fabled Passage. Go get a mountain or something. I just don't think we can win. I think that ambusher was just absolutely clutch. It's stupidly effective. We need Veil of Summer. And even then, we might just die on our end step. We just draw more lands. It's not nice. It's never nice when that happens. Try and kill them. Never happens in a million years. Wish I had a Veil of Summer, but I just didn't draw any. So, it's kind of how this game goes. Draw Veil of Summer or die. And we're at 4 mana, 1 mana short of wiping the board again, which probably still doesn't happen, but yeah, that was fun. Sarcasm. Alrighty then, we're in, and sounds awkward, but it could get us there. Being on the draw, we need 1 land, essentially, and thank God we've already got our green, so it can just be any land. But if we do get that land, then this hand's pretty sweet, so I'm going to keep it. See what our opponent's doing on blue. Please, God, do not be tempo. It's mill. Alright. I can get behind some mill. Alright, tap land, say go. Don't know how well we fare against mill. We certainly don't want to be running Escape to the Wilds, I can tell you that for sure. Maybe mono blue mill by the looks of things? Interesting. Yeah, I'm just going to go tap land here. Got a Prism Realm for an Ashiok. Bone Crusher Giant for anything, really. We'll see. It's probably just going to go to our opponent's face, more likely. You know, that thing needs to die. Gonna put it out there. Yeah, I think what we want to do, though, is make sure that we got Fires of Invention next turn. Hopefully we can resolve it. That's going to be an interesting point. Yeah, let's go for that. We've got the double white already. We've got the double greens. We need the double red, just in case we get Sunder Shaman. It's good for getting rid of Drown Secrets, I suppose. But our opponent does have the ability to attack us, I believe. But we're not that fussed. We can deal with that pretty easily as long as they don't pass the turn with didn't say please open. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well then. I think what we need to do is try to Bone Crusher Giant twice the Vantress Gargoyle. It's not a good plan, but it's the plan. So we're going to go for it. I think they're just holding open counter magic is the problem. So I kind of need to force it out. So let's try and do 2 damage. They'll let this one go if they do have counter magic. So obviously it doesn't kill the gargoyle. And then they'll counter this one, Millers, for 3 or something like that. And then we can do like Fire's Invention, Prism Realm, while their mana's hopefully tapped out enough to not have counter magic. I feel like we should have a reasonable matchup in this game. As long as we can get there quick enough. I mean, it's mono blue after all, so you don't have to worry about, you know, murderous riders and Enter the God Eternals and things like that. Yep, as they didn't say please, so no surprises there. All the Fires of Invention are gone. That's fine, though. Please don't. Oh, God. Alright, well, fires, and it resolved very quickly. So I think what we're going to do is actually go for the Realm Cloak Giant's cast-off instead of the Prism Realm, since, of course, we still have to deal with an Ashiok, potentially. This gets rid of the creature side of things and stops us dying in 2 turns. From here, we can start putting down some threats, hopefully. Callous Dismissal. Alright. Annoying, not the end of the world. That's annoying. Oh, God. Alright, so let's try and kill the token. Got another didn't say please? No. Probably going to try and counter the Bone Crusher Giant side of things instead. Or not. Don't know what they're playing. Don't know what's in their hand. Wall of Lost Thoughts. We can push through that. We're at 29 cards so far. And unfortunately, all of our Escape to the Wilds are still in the deck. Oh, there we go. It's definitely something we didn't want. And I guess this is... Oh, didn't say please on top. Alright, so we're going to need to put something big and bad into play. Can't really do that. We can do Fire's Invention to Bone Crusher Giant, I suppose. It's pretty much the play, I think. Yeah, if that's the counter spell, it's going to suck. Thought Collapse. My goodness. Alright, so we're bringing in the Veil of Summers and we're going down the Fire's of Invention in this particular matchup. That's for sure. 19 cards. I think they can probably get us, unfortunately. Ooh. If only I had a land. That would be good. Alright, well, get in. I mean, this is a 4-3. It's not an insignificant amount of damage to push through. The unfortunate situation is I can't really make 2 plays here, so this is going to go off and mill for 5, right? Yeah, 5 total on my 18. That's probably fine. Let's just get this Fire's Invention out. It's too late for this to matter. No doubt they'll want to counter this, because it allows me to do pretty rampy related things, and still the ramp does matter in this particular scenario. Late game, you know, you don't really want that Fire's going off anyway, but... Alright, some pretty crappy cards went into the bin, so I'm not too upset about that. We've got 13 cards left, and our opponent has to deal with my Bone Crusher Giant. Let's go Paradise Druid. See if that merits a response from my opponent. They let it go. I'm going to go for a Sunder Shaman, maybe? If we can get the Drown Secrets off the table, then this game is well and truly over. Yeah, they were just waiting for a good card. There goes my other Sunder Shaman. Alright, 7 cards. Can they get us? Beanstalk Giant. Well, I'm just going to pass, because we don't want them to didn't say pleases again. So... let's just force the interaction here. I mean, now I kind of have to go for, like, Prism Realm, essentially. Let's do Bone Crusher Giant. See if they want to counter that. If they counter that, they lose. Boo Hiss. 3 cards left. Yeah, we have to go for this or we lose. If they've got the counter spell, we are done. Ah, yeah. There goes all of our cards. And all we can do is 2. That was very close. Oh, this thing can't block. Haha, forgot about that. Oh, I was thinking they was completely online once our graveyard had been filled, but nope. Not the case. Alright, so we're going to bring in all the Veil of Summers so that their counter magic doesn't work. That's a big source of their mill by the looks of things. I'm going to go down the Fires of Invention because it's a bit of a nombo. We kind of want to do one or the other. Probably want to bring in the Fry for the Vantress Gargoyles. Also for Ashiok. I mean, it's a thing. Definitely want the Knight of Autumn. Possibly Sorcerer's Spyglass for Ashiok as well. I could see that. Let's go down Embercleave. We want to go down the Escape to the Wilds because I don't want to help them with my mill. Clarion was very weak as well. So actually we're just kind of shoving the sideboard right into our deck, aren't we? Bring in at least 2 Spyglasses. Got 3 more cards to add. Let's do 2 Chandras. And I guess it's the other Spyglass. The rest just doesn't seem worthwhile. I could see Gideon maybe. It's more aggressive. Yeah, let's bring in the Gideons. And go to 3 Realm Cloak Giants. It's probably adequate. Yeah, that basically looks like the deck. Should be able to shut them down pretty easily with that. Alrighty then, we're in, and we got Veil of Summer, which is literally the first time I've seen this card in my hand in the entire time I've been playing this deck. Even though I'm running 4 ofs and seem to bring it in quite a lot, just never seem to find it. So I'm going to keep this one because it's not cursed. I do like non-cursed hands. So likelihood is we're just going to go turn to Paradise Druid. I don't expect them to do too much about that. We're going to need something to ramp into, but I'm sure we can't struggle too much with that. And I don't expect to need to use Veil of Summer here. Yeah. Not an issue. Alright, so let's just go with Plains Paradise Druids. It's a shame Prism Realm isn't Banishing Light or anything of that sort. Would love for the ability to get rid of that Drowned Secrets using it, but here we are. We're just going to force through whatever we need to do with Veil of Summer. Our opponent didn't say please us, which will only mean that the Drowned Secrets triggers offer those counter magics. The actual spell itself won't resolve, so we won't get milled for the 3. And we get to resolve something tasty, which is always nice. So, land, Witching Well, mill. There goes our Fry. It's only a 1-of, so it's gone forever. Not an option no more. 2 to the top, and there's Vantress Gargoyle, so we're going to be able to resolve a Prism Realm on that at least. Bone Crusher Giant into the trash. And Beanstalk Giant, that's a good one. That is a good one. Alright, so we're going to go for the Prism Realm on the Gargoyle. So that we can swing in with our Paradise Druid. They can Callous Dismissal the Paradise Druid. It is what it is, I suppose. Land to the bottom. And let's get in. Again, I don't expect to need to use the Veil of Summer. It's going to be used on Didn't Say Please, essentially. Aether Gust. Alright. I shall put that on the bottom of my deck. Because I do not want to draw it. And Aether Gust back on top. Combo. Alright, well... let's do Paradise Druid. And Stomping Ground. Pass the turn. We know they've got Aether Gust. I don't know if I want to use it on this, if I want a Veil of Summer. It seems a bit of a weak option. I kind of want to do like Beanstalk Giant to push that through on 7. Something like that. I guess we're going to go for it, though. We're going to do Beanstalk Giants, Fertile Footsteps. If they go for the counter, then we've got the Veil of Summer. There's nothing they can actually do about it. Yep, there we go. Value. Draw a card. Prevent the counter. Oh, it still mills? Oh, never mind. Haha. Oh god, they've gotten rid of my white. Good job I got the Sacred Foundry. Alright, well, forest it is. And... yeah, let's crack Fabled Passage, I guess. Shuffle that Paradise Druid right back in, which is perfectly fine for me. Ramp up again. If Paradise Druid is in my deck, it's more likely to get milled over, which is better than most of the other stuff getting milled over. So come on, Veil of Summer. It's an Aether Gust. So it's an awkward situation, not gonna lie. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. This gets rid of red or green, so if I went with the 7 on this dude, I'm gonna shock myself because we're at 20 and I don't want to tap my Paradise Druid. Let's see if we can get a 7/7 in play. They had 9 million counterspells before. Today's not the day, though. You can Aether Gust this if you want. You're gonna draw some cards. Alright, they're gonna need to bounce this Realm Cloak Giant. Specifically playing the white one because it plays around the Aether Gust, so they need Callous Dismissal. Also tiny to make it a 1/7. Also a thing, I suppose. I like this card. It's cute. I used it in my Demir Mill list back in the day. Alright. So I really want to slam down this Gideon. That would leave me with 3, 4, 5, 6. If I went like this, I could play Beanstalk Giant as a 9/9. The Gideon's the one that I actually want to resolve because they've got that Aether Gust, so Beanstalk Giant's not going to stick around very long. But I would love to be able to give this Paradise Druid some sort of protection. Well, actually, I'd just love to get Gideon up to 7 so we can get rid of that Drown Secrets with his -6. It's also considerably harder, like the Realm Cloak Giant, to deal with. So let's see if we can just dodge another counterspell. Doesn't look like it. Well, actually, no, they've got the Aether Gust, so that's what's holding priority here.
Let me lead the charge into darkness.
This will have Lifelink.
Prepare for battle.
Indestructible doesn't matter. Lifelink doesn't either, but you never know. They might start the Vantress Gargoyle beats. So I feel like we've got a pretty decent board set up right now. We've got 25 cards left in the deck. I should probably just hover the deck for you guys whenever that crops up. And if they don't Aether Gust the Paradise Druid, I'm going to give that Vigilance from Gideon, so that it stays hexproof and they can't gust it back. It's just 2 points extra that I can work with. Another Realm Cloak Giant, you say? Alright, so Vigilance for the Druid.
I will lend you my strength.
Get on in. Warrant! So annoying. So annoying. Right, well, here's another 7/7. That should do it, right? They've got to deal with a Gideon, which basically just involves playing literally anything here. Land and hold up in your counter magic. We got the Callous Dismissal, so they get rid of my 7/7, make a 1/1, and get rid of my Gideon. God, this deck's... never mind. Good stuff. Alright, well, yeah, let's Gideon again. Why not?
I march into battle as your champion of justice.
Nice. I know, right? Let's make another 7/7. And give this thing lifelink.
Your light will cleave the darkness.
That's just absurd luck from us. It's not even funny. It is. It's hilarious, actually. Paradise Druid. Yeah, you can go to the bottom. I will decline it being on the top, thank you very much. Maybe I should put it on the top, since they might just play something here that does stuff. This is gonna have lifelink. Again, doesn't really matter. Get on in. Chump a blockers. We're not going to play anything because we're at 18 cards. I don't really want to give him an excuse to counter any of my spells since we're already, yeah, very much in the driver's seat and threatening lethal. So, you know, no chaining spells together for you. Alright, that was an awkward matchup. Again, with 4 Veil of Summers, I only saw 1 the entire game. Sorcerer's Spyglass did turn up for an Ashiok, though. We never saw that either. I do wonder whether or not they even ran them in the first place. You gotta think that they do. You know, Ashiok's like the best thing to run in a mill deck. As long as you can support the protection of the Planeswalker anyway. Otherwise, it's just a little bit weak. You know, if it's just a 3-mana mill 4 exile a graveyard, it's pretty crappy. But if you can get to a mill 8, then it's pretty good. So, you know. Alright, well, I'm happy with that one. It's pretty good. Alright, that is gonna do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This deck's a lot of fun. It's not the most competitive thing in the world, but, you know, with Standard being the way it is, you know, I don't think competition is really something to focus on. I guess it's really the only thing to focus on. If you like Oko, competition's all the rage. Go for it. Just play Oko. But if you don't want to play Oko, then this might be the deck for you. So, you know, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for some more content in the future. Other than that, though, I'm going to leave it off here. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.